review each one of those resumes. So we don't put it through a piece of software what we do is in person look at it. As important is the next step in which I'm doing myself. I will Skype interview each one of the candidates that will eventually end up in your recruitment portfolio. So for example, let's say they have 45 candidates apply for your position. And hopefully you'll have somewhere in the range of 15 to 20 that deserve a closer look. What I'll do is that then I'll talk to that 15 to 20 individually for about a good hour or so, and make sure that what they say in their resume is actually matching up with what they do, and to what extent. Tell me a little bit more about your experience in finance, in HR, in economic development, whatever it is.
I get it.
And so then what's also occurring during that period of time is that we'll talk to at least 2 references for each one of the candidates, and then we will then do a search on social media, so that when you're sitting in the interviews and you're flipping through what you see on Google, you'll know from me before you see it what's out there. And you'll find that there are some candidates that will have some experiences that do warrant an explanation. And at the time in which I bring a portfolio to you, if there are any of those candidates that may have some baggage, if you will, we'll explain that and why we are suggesting that you even take a look at it. And if not, we'll tell you that as well. But because your residents, you yourselves will be doing that, and so we want to make sure that you know ahead of time what's out there. We'll prepare a final report. That's our portfolio of candidates. So in that example, where I say, I'll talk about, say, 15 to 20. What I'll do then is bring a portfolio of candidates to you that may entail, say, 12 or so. And we'll sit down, we'll go through that portfolio, and it's your selection of who you would like to interview. But what I'll do is I'll be able to provide you the background information of what our discussion was. I'll tell you about what we learned from their references, and provide any other commentary that you'd like to know about each one of those candidates before you decide to invite them. We'll do all the arrangements for the interviews. We'll write the interview questions at the time and say in which you begin to advance candidates further. Then what's also included, of course, is all the criminal, educational, motor vehicle verifications. We'll also find out what their financial status is, so if there's anything that you need to know about this candidate, we'll let you know that. And that's the time in which we want to make sure that candidate A says he earned a master's degree at Harvard University. We'll make sure that's where that degree was earned. We'll, as I say, we'll facilitate the interviews. We'll negotiate the employment agreement with the candidate if you would like us to, and take you from all the way down to successful end here. So, as I said, I think one of the strengths that we bring, is a partnership with the village, and I think that is shown by many of our connections out there, our commitment to communicating to you so you understand throughout the entire 12-week process, what's going on and what to expect next. We also have in our firm a deep commitment to diversity, and through our connection through many professional associations, we'll make sure that everybody is afforded the same opportunity to compete. Now, finally, we're also known for our commitment to the local government profession. As I said earlier, you see us at all the state associations, the leagues, the International City Management Association. Our owners are very committed to Women's Legacy Project in Illinois, as well as on an international basis, and we do a lot of outreach in that respect as well. Finally, we'll stay with you throughout the entire project. If for whatever reason this turns out to be a tougher recruitment than originally expected, we're not going to abandon you. We'll say, we say our process is 12 weeks. If it takes 12, if it takes 14, if it takes longer than that, we are going to stick with you and make sure you get the candidate that you are comfortable with. I will say, Village of Shorewood, has got a great reputation out there for long-term managers. We're one of the few manager council or manager board form of governance in the state. It is an attractive position. But as I said, it is a candidate's market out there, and so you are competing with others.
Just a reminder, you are going over time for your presentation, so if you could.
And so with that,
We want to be fair to the other candidates.
I understand. And so that really was the end of all I wanted to cover. I would love to have your business, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions?
Yeah. In your research, you've done a number of improvements locally. Are you seeing, we're somewhat interested in looking outside of Wisconsin. Are you seeing that, or what do you do to get people in from around the country? Or?
Yeah. Of course, it's through several of our outlets. It's advertising through the International City Management Association, which is the premier. We'll take a wide swath. We'll do advertising throughout all the state associations, the leagues, throughout the area. And I think where we really reach out to folks on a much broader scale, is through this database program that we use that does the tailored email. So, for example, Village of Shorewood at 13,000, and we'll begin to understand the community even better. We'll do a search, say of city and village managers from, say, towns of 5,000, say maybe all the way to 50,000 or so. And we'll do that throughout the country. And in that case, that's probably over 2,000 contacts or so.
I recently joined the Wisconsin, whatever, the group of the municipalities, and I went to a meeting, and I noticed that most of the administrators were males. And there was a higher diversity in the assistants. So can you just tell me how you would reach those assistants, like either the assistant city manager, village managers, or the budget directors, or the people that were right above that level, right below that level?
Yeah, and it's through that advertising, because that goes to all the assistants as well. It is through this database that will also, we have been creating additional databases that are solely geared toward assistants, because there is about 10 assistant city administrator associations throughout the country. so we had those. As a past president of the Assistants Association, I can get on the phone and talk to each one of the presidents of those Assistants Associations, help us get the word out. Let me, if I can, just one more note about women in the profession. As it so happens, people in our firm, myself included, our president of our company, have studied this through ICMA. I did a study on it 20 years ago, talking about women in the profession, and that was updated within the last couple of years or so. The needle hasn't moved. It's about 13% or so that are in the profession, but as you say, it is much more populated in the assistant rank, and that's where we're trying to spend our time. That's where our company president, as well as our company's chief operating officer, are getting out and doing that networking.
So these profiles, who produce? I mean, these are pretty detailed. The staff, we provide you.
I wrote that.
You wrote this,
Yeah.
so you do the.
I do.
Gather the.
Mhm.
Okay.
So, and that's what each of our consultants do for whatever community that they're assigned to. That's why, I come in, I spend a day here, and that's what is the result.
You're speaking of the, like this Racine one that was in the packet?
Are you, when you describe the steps that you would actually propose and put the table by timeline, do you recommend involving the public in developing the qualifications we're looking for? And when we have a few candidates, do you feel it's valuable to have some kind of open informational session for people to come, or is that just not really a worthwhile use of time? I don't know.
As I get to know all of you better, I can tell you what I think would work best. Of course, from what I understand, in Shorewood, you've got a very involved community. And I can tell you by example, this might be the extreme example, but last summer we did the recruitment for Cambridge, Massachusetts. And Cambridge hasn't really done a recruitment in over 30 years. So what was important for them was to really tap into the community. And again, this is an extreme example, but we came in there for a week, and 3 of us did focus groups with 30 different focus groups. And so that then, all put together really helped develop the kind of profile and a deep understanding of what that community was looking for. Like I said, that's extreme. I don't think you might want a week or so.
They had Harvard and MIT there, so.
We did. In fact, we met with university people. We met with nonprofit groups. We met with business people, Chamber of Commerce. We met with community activists. And so at the end, while not only did it make it into the brochure, but we were able to talk to candidates and say, we want to make sure you understand this community. And here's what we learned. And so, in Shorewood's case, you may have some very active groups. And if you want their input, we're more than happy to sit down with those folks and gather that input. To your other question about process, whether it should be open, whether that should include other community stakeholders, I've seen it done various ways. In Massachusetts, on the other side of the state, they handled their process in Williamstown, Massachusetts, all out in the open. Candidates know that when they're down to the final, that is done out in the open, and it's televised as well. Here in Wisconsin, we tend to be a little bit more circumspect, and those interviews are handled usually in closed session, but there's no rule that it is. So.
Meet and greets, do you Like, once you got down to, do you usually do those or recommend those?
We have done them, for instance, in Lake Geneva, meet and greets or a community reception in Lake Geneva. It was important for them. And so I facilitated the process where it was not only the city council and department heads, but each council member there was encouraged to invite 4 community members or so. So you got a nice wide spectrum of people that all came to that event. We asked the candidates then to be ahead of time, be prepared to talk to the crowd. Tell them who you are and tell them why you want to be Lake Geneva's city administrator. And then we had throughout the room rating sheets. So that then, at the end of the evening, I gathered all of that, and that just served as supplemental information for the city council.
Since Mr. Schwartz has moved up his retirement date, would you adjust the